Liu Jianzi's monthly income, except for living expenses, is all sent home. He doesn't spend money recklessly, except for one thing. He has to find a prostitute once or twice a week, each time for $120. In early 2015, Lao Ding went to the United States. In the past 5 years, he has moved to many cities such as Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York, while traveling while doing odd jobs. The place where he worked the longest was a Chinese restaurant called Li Ji in Chicago's Chinatown. Here, he met 2 colleagues with very different personalities, Fatty and Liu Jianzi. After getting along with them for a long time, Lao Ding gradually discovered that these colleagues, who looked ordinary on the outside, actually had little-known stories, and the human nature hidden behind them even made him shudder. Li Ji Chinese restaurant is located in a less conspicuous location, on a street in Chicago's Chinatown. From the front, there is nothing special about it, and it is similar to most Chinese restaurants nearby. The neon sign with red characters on a white background hanging on the outer wall reads Li Ji. The glass windows facing the street are posted with signature dishes in traditional Chinese and English, such as Kung Pao chicken, left rooster, fried spring rolls, sweet and sour pork, fried noodles, etc. Some of the characters have faded after weathering and look listless. The store is not large. There are about 10 tables and more than 40 seats on the first floor. There are 3 private rooms on the second floor along the wooden stairs. The overall decoration of the store is in traditional Chinese classical style. It is not very eye-catching in the Chinese area, but the restaurant's attendance rate has remained at a high level all year round, and the business has always been good. The reason is that there are 2 or 3 signature dishes that are cooked well, and you can order takeout, which is very popular. You should know that half of the restaurants in the United States do not have takeout service. When Lao Ding first arrived in Chicago, his trouser pockets were cleaner than his face. As soon as he settled down, the first thing he did was to find a job, otherwise he would end up on the streets. He found a local employment agency and paid $40. The boss of the agency took out a bunch of recruitment materials for him to choose from. At first, he chose a restaurant, but quit after working there for 2 days. Because the business was not good and the salary and tips were very low, he went to find that restaurant again. The boss of the agency asked him to pay an additional $20 and take out a bunch of information to change to another one. In this way, Lao Ding worked there. Lao Ding's daily job is to serve dishes. When it comes to the peak meal time, he keeps shuttling between the dish outlet and the tables with a tray. From 12 noon to 2 p.m., the 2 hours are like a war, and he can walk several kilometers back and forth in a small space. Every day, his legs and feet are numb, and his neck and back hurt. In the afternoon, when the meal is closed, he drinks a large pot of water and then sleeps on the dining table. At dinner time in the evening, he is busy for several hours again, working until closing at 9 o'clock, and he also has to clean up and pick up the garbage. The boss pays the salary on a weekly basis. There is no basic salary, and the tips given by the guests belong to the waiter himself. In total, Lao Ding earns an average of $1,300 a week, which is not low compared to most restaurants nearby. At that time, Lao Ding planned to quit his job and continue traveling around the United States after saving enough $10,000, but he didn't expect to work at Li Ji for more than a year. When the store was not busy, several male employees often gathered in the alley behind the restaurant to smoke and chat. After a while, Lao Ding became familiar with several colleagues. The one with whom he had the best relationship was the fat brother who worked as a vegetable gardener. Fat brother's real name was Li Let Ian. Although everyone called him Fat Brother, he actually weighed just over 180 pounds, which was only considered a well-proportioned figure in the United States, where there were fat people everywhere. According to Fat Brother himself, when he first came to the United States, he weighed only more than 140 pounds. In the past 2 years, he suddenly gained weight. People who didn't know him would think he was a chef. Fat Brother's personality was a bit introverted, he didn't like to talk much, and his voice was very low. His voice was like a teenager who hadn't reached the voice change period, giving people a feeling of lack of masculinity. But once he talked about football, he was like a different person, and he opened up his mouth and talked endlessly. At first, Fat Brother said that he had no hobbies and was only interested in football. Before going abroad, his spare time was to sleep and watch football. He watched countless games every year, whether it was the Bundesliga, Serie A, Premier League, European Cup, World Cup, or the national team, almost every game. Lao Ding asked Fat Brother, "Which team do you like best?" Fat Brother answered without hesitation, "Milan, AC Milan. I have loved Milan since elementary school, and I have never had any friendship for more than 20 years. As long as it is Milan, it is my lifelong belief. Even if he is down and out now and even ridiculed by others, love is only about position, regardless of right or wrong." Lao Ding asked, "Which player in the team do you like best?" Fat Brother answered that there is actually no one, and every player plays very badly, but this does not affect my liking for this team at all. Lao Ding can feel the loyalty and enthusiasm of Fat Brother for the things he loves, which makes him a little envious. At first, Lao Ding thought that this person was quite simple and had a stubborn childishness. Later, he slowly learned more about Fat Brother and completely changed his original view. Fat Brother came to the United States in 2007. He had just graduated from a junior college in China at the age of 22. When Lao Ding met him, he was already 30 years old. Fat Brother came from a third-tier small city in Liaoning province. He was not very good at studying since he was a child, but his parents had high expectations for him. After his parents' constant urging and signing up for various cram schools, he stumbled and barely studied in a junior college, majoring in computer information management. He said that he had never been to many places since he was a child. The farthest place he had been to before coming to the United States was Beijing. It was his parents' idea to come to the United States at the beginning, but Fat Brother did not yearn for the United States. When he first came, he was not good at English, so he went to a small town near Chicago to study at a fake university. After paying the tuition, he had only a few $100s left in his hand. He could only go to his aunt's house in the United States. His aunt was only 6 years older than Fat Brother. She graduated from Peking University with a master's degree, and later studied medicine in the United States. She married an American. His uncle-in-law worked in the financial industry. He was tall and strong, 2 heads taller than his aunt, and had abundant body hair. Every time they met, Fat Brother couldn't help but stare at his golden chest hair for a few more glances, as if he was visiting some rare animal. Especially when the old uncle drank or talked excitedly, his neck and the top of his head would be red. Their 3-year-old daughter is a typical Chinese-American mixed race, looking like a Barbie doll. But after going to live with the old aunt, Fat Brother always felt like a dependent. Not only did his living habits make him feel constrained, but the old aunt's family always ate Western food, which he was not used to. Moreover, he didn't live there for free, and he had to pay hundreds of dollars in rent every month, but he didn't have much money, and he didn't want to ask his parents for money, so he simply made his own decision and dropped out of school. Anyway, he was not a good student. Then Fat Brother went to a restaurant to wash dishes. The salary for washing dishes was very low, only $2,000 a month. Later, he became a waiter. When he first took orders for people, he made a lot of jokes because of his poor English and was scolded by the boss. Once, a customer wanted to order a Pepsi. "I'd like a Pepsi." Fat Brother didn't understand what he meant and repeated, "Pussy." The customer looked surprised. "Are you kidding?" The customer tore off the napkin around his neck, rushed to the back kitchen, and complained loudly to the boss, who was ordering food, saying that he was insulted by the waiter and demanded compensation for mental damages. Fat Brother was fired that day, and later he moved to several restaurants. During this period, because of his introverted personality and other reasons, he was always bullied by the boss and customers. In the first few years after coming to the United States, Fat Brother had been working everywhere, and he didn't have many friends or other hobbies. He lived a life of 2.1 lines every day, like a glass of boiled water, day after day, boring and depressing. But he didn't want to go back to China, and he didn't have the face to go back. During this period, a Chinese sister treated her very well, and once took her to the casino to play. This also became a turning point in Fat Brother's life. Fat Brother had never been to such a luxurious and high-end place. Once he entered, it was like Liu Lao Lao entering the Grandview Garden, and 2 eyes were not enough. The noise of people, music, clinking glasses, roulette and dice rolling mixed together, and the whole hall was filled with the smell of decadence. The fat man, who was standing in front of the gambling table, didn't understand anything. After the novelty wore off, he began to feel a little bored. The elder sister asked him to just watch how he played. The elder sister went to buy $200 in chips, bet on 2 rounds of baccarat, and quickly won 2 rounds. Then she went to the cash box to exchange for cash, and 200 became 600, which tripled in less than 10 minutes. The fat man thought it was amazing and asked the elder sister to teach him. Under the elder sister's teaching, she soon learned how to change chips and bet. Unexpectedly, she had great luck and won a lot of money for the first time. The elder sister patted him on the shoulder and said, "Okay, young man, I'm not wrong, you are a novice with a strong hand." The fat man smiled shyly. Few people praised themselves like this. He gave half of the money he won to the elder sister. In the next 2 months, he went to play several times and almost never lost. He made more than $30,000. This was almost equivalent to his income from working for a year. Fat Brother felt that he was very suitable for playing this game. After that, he would go to the casino on his days off. There were free drinks and food, and he often stayed there for a whole day. Sometimes he would attract a lot of people to watch him if he played well. Every time he won, many people would applaud and cheer, and follow him to place bets. Gradually, Fat Brother was praised and became famous in the casino. He even felt that he could predict the results of the bets, so he simply quit his job in the restaurant and spent all day at the gambling table. Gradually, he began to lose more and win less. In less than a year, he lost all the money he won and had to go back to work in the restaurant. Time flies. Fat Brother has been in the United States for 7 years. He still works in the restaurant. He works neatly and diligently. He said he was afraid of being fired by his boss. It seems that there is always a kind of fear and inferiority at work. Only when he sits at the gambling table will he become confident. In Lao Ding's impression, after knowing Pang Ji for such a long time, he was very frugal and hardly bought anything. He didn't have any valuable items, except for an old Toyota, which he bought for $5,000 in his 4th year in the United States. He usually only wore the work clothes of the restaurant, and he was reluctant to throw away even his socks with holes. He said he only had 2 pairs of socks. Every day before the day off, Pang Ji would be very excited and talk more with his colleagues. On the morning of the day off, Pang Ji would take a shower, change his clothes, put on his only light grey suit, carefully arrange his hair in front of the mirror, gently brush off the dust and dandruff on his shoulders with his hands, and pray silently in his heart. Then he walked out the door, got into the 4th-hand Toyota, drove along Michigan Avenue for about half an hour, and came to the casino he often went to. He was particularly happy on that day, and he would only come out when he lost all the money he had. If he lost quickly, he would go home to sleep directly. If he lost slowly, he would leave until the next morning and go directly to work. He told Lao Ding that he had seen a miracle in the casino. A man named Xiao Qingdao only brought $3,000 and made 2 million in one day. This was a great stimulation to him, and he wanted to be that kind of person. The longest time that Pang Ji stayed in the casino was 3 days and 3 nights. After returning home, Pang Ji looked at himself in the mirror. His hair was disheveled, his face was full of stubble, his eyes were full of bloodshot, his eyes were swollen like peaches, and his face was green and blue. He looked like a zombie in a horror movie. He lay at home for a week without going out. He said that every day besides sleeping, he thought about life. At that time, he had no money to eat. Fortunately, the landlord at that time provided rice, so he only ate rice every day for a whole week, and then continued to work. It was not until the beginning of 2015 that Pang Ji came to Li Ji. Lao Ding asked him, "Pang Ji, do you have any dreams?" He took the last puff of his cigarette, exhaled a long stream of smoke, shook his hair lightly, looked at the narrow sky above the alley, and then said slowly, "Well, this is a good question, but I have never thought about it. I need to think about it carefully before answering you." The next day, Fat Brother called Lao Ding to the back alley of the restaurant and said seriously, "I have been thinking about it all night, and now I can tell you that my dream is to buy a house." This answer surprised Lao Ding a little, but he quickly responded, "Well, it's a very good dream." Fat Brother went on to say that it would be best if it was no more than 500 meters next to the casino, so it would be very convenient. "I can walk there every day, as long as I am awake, and I can walk home to sleep when I feel sleepy in the casino." Lao Ding said, "This is also to win more money." Fat Brother smiled and said, "In fact, I don't care about winning or losing anymore. As long as I can stay in the casino, that place makes me feel comfortable." Lao Ding also smiled. In recent years, especially recently, whenever a friend in China asked Fat Brother's parents about his situation in the United States, his mother would contact him and say, "Sheila, did someone ask about you today?" Fat Brother would say loudly to his mother, "Don't mention me to anyone in the future." Fat Brother said he didn't want anyone to know his current situation, whether it was friends or family. He didn't want to contact anyone. In addition to Fat Brother, Lao Ding also had a good relationship with Brother Liu. Although he didn't smoke, he liked to chat with him in the back alley. Brother Liu was from Henan, in his early 30s, and always had a buzz cut. Although he was not tall, he looked thin when dressed and had meat when undressed. His tendon meat was shiny black like oil, so everyone nicknamed him Liu Jianzi. Brother Liu said that when he was a child, he went to Shaolin Temple to practice Kung Fu for 2 years. Because he was strong, he spoke and did things very skillfully. In addition to serving dishes, he often helped the restaurant to purchase and move goods, so he also earned an extra salary. Lao Ding admired him very much at first. Liu Jianzi didn't smoke, only drank tea, had a regular life and work schedule, and ran 5 kilometers after get off work. When he was resting, he went to a small gym nearby to practice boxing and lift weights, maintaining his tough guy image. He likes to chat with newcomers. He knows that Lao Ding has traveled to many countries alone and admires him. Whenever he has free time, Liu Jianzi goes to chat with Lao Ding. He often mentions that Wang Jianlin, Jack Ma and others like to talk about big entrepreneurs and international events. Lao Ding also listened to Liu Jianzi's story intermittently. In 2006, Liu Jianzi, who was in his early 20s, became a sailor and traveled all over the world. He said that his hometown was in the countryside and was very poor. Many fellow villagers in the village became sailors, so he followed them. He thought that being a seaman was a very romantic thing. He could travel around the world and make more money than on land. Unexpectedly, life at sea was extremely hard. When he was busy, he only slept 3 hours a day, and often did not sleep for 10 hours. Due to long-term lack of sleep, Liu Jianzi's eye circles were always dark and his eyes were swollen. He said that he couldn't sleep well in the cabin, and everything in front of him was shaking. This is difficult for people who are used to living on land to adapt. When the waves are big, people often fall directly from the bed to the floor. At the beginning, I had to apply it several times every day. Even after waking up, my head was still groggy, as if it was filled with cement. Therefore, in those years, sleeping soundly on a stable bed was Liu Jianzi's greatest hope in life. Liu Jianzi mainly followed fishing boats, which were full of dangers. Sometimes when working in the middle of the night, people were extremely tired and their minds would be in a trance. If they were not careful, the cables would cut off their fingers. In summer, the deck temperature often dropped to 40 or 50 degrees, and in winter, the temperature dropped to dozens of degrees below zero at night. The crew members were either sweating profusely or freezing like drowned rats. It was like ice and fire. At sea, everything was extremely long days and long nights. There was often no signal on TV and mobile phones. The only signal was the sound from the high-frequency radio station to accompany him in the lonely night. In order to pass the spare time, many crew members often gathered together to play cards, or drink beer, eat seafood, and sing songs. Seafood is very expensive on land, but you can eat as much as you want on the ship. However, Liu Jianzi said that he soon got tired of seafood. He still missed the big bowls of mutton-stewed noodles and hot spicy soup in his hometown. The more he thought about it, the more he craved it. At that time, the ship often sailed on the South American route. When the ship docked at the port of Colombia, the locals would drive small boats to swim over and approach their large fishing boats. There are many beauties on the ship. These exotic women will whistle and wink at the crew. Some crew members are reluctant to spend money and will steal fish on the ship. A small tuna can be exchanged for a woman's body. He confessed that he slept with women from many countries in those 2 years. There are many rules on the ship. Once the crew makes a mistake, they will be fined. For example, if they do not work according to regulations, do not listen to commands, contradict their superiors, and fight, they will be fined. It ranges from dozens to hundreds. In fact, you can't make much money from a ship. It depends on the final cargo volume. You can only get tens of thousands of yuan. This is a bit different from Liu Jianzi's previous expectations. Once he stole fish from the ship to go to prostitutes. The captain knew about it, reprimanded him severely, punished him not to eat dinner, and threatened to fire him when he returned. Liu Jianzi was still a young boy at the time. He jumped off the ship with 2 boxes of instant noodles on impulse. The ship was in Spanish waters at the time. He swam to a nearby island and slept on the beach for 3 days. After eating 2 boxes of instant noodles, he walked along the coastline of the island. As he was walking, he saw a Chinese restaurant owner who was Chinese. He asked the owner to take him in and work in the restaurant. The owner saw that he was very strong and agreed. He stayed on the island and worked for 2 whole years. The environment of the island is good, with lush vegetation, and people often come to play by boat. There are dozens of houses on the island, and people live a simple and honest life. Liu Jianzi's work is not tiring, the key is that he sleeps well every night. After work, he runs, picks up shells or digs crabs on the island, and looks at the fiery red sunset on the beach every day, which is magnificent. After all, he came here illegally and is an illegal immigrant. He has never left the island. Perhaps it was God's blessing. Unexpectedly, he caught up with the Italian amnesty government, which gave legal status to many illegal immigrants who met the conditions. At that time, it was said that hundreds of thousands of people benefited from it. With the help of the restaurant owner, he successfully obtained an Italian green card. Later, he met a woman from Henan in Italy, and soon they got married and had children. In May 2012, his wife suddenly said she wanted to return to China. Liu Jianzi thought it was a good idea, so the two returned to their hometown in Henan. They used the money they saved from working overseas to pay the down payment and bought several shops. In order to pay off the loan as soon as possible, Liu Jianzi wanted to make more money, so he went to the United States at the end of the year, while his wife stayed in his hometown to take care of the children. After coming to the United States, Liu Jianzi did many jobs, including porter, newspaper delivery, dishwasher, odd jobs in midnight clubs, and tally clerk. After several twists and turns, he came to Li Ji restaurant. He has been working here for almost a year. Liu Jianzi sends all his monthly income to his family except for living expenses. He usually doesn't spend money recklessly, but there is one thing: he has to find a lady once or twice a week, each time for $120. He only told Lao Ding about this matter. He said that he did feel that it was a waste of money, but he couldn't control himself. Lao Ding smiled and said that he could understand. Later, Liu Jianzi left Li Ji because of a fight. In August, a new waiter came to the store. His arms and legs were as thin as chopsticks, his hair was dyed bright yellow, and he had eyebrow studs, nose rings, and tattoos, just like a gangster. He and the boss were from Fujian. Logically, since everyone was here to work, the newcomer should be more humble and ask more questions from the old employees. But the little skinny monkey took advantage of his power, and often crossed his legs and shook his feet to point fingers at other employees. He always ordered Lao Ding and another white girl Linda to do this and that, and then took all the credit for himself. Liu Jianzi couldn't stand this kind of people the most. Once, the little skinny monkey ordered Lao Ding to take out the garbage again, and Liu Jianzi said a few words to him, saying that everyone had a hard time, and asked the little skinny monkey to respect others. Unexpectedly, the little skinny monkey jumped up, pointed at Liu Jianzi's head and cursed, "Who the hell do you think you are? Do you know what the relationship between me and the boss is? Believe it or not, I can make you get out right away." The tone was aggressive, not giving him any face. Liu Jianzi had been holding back, but when he heard the words "female bastard" come out of the other party's mouth, he went up and kicked the skinny monkey on the shriveled chest. The skinny monkey's slender body suddenly flew into the air, and then fell to the ground 3 meters away, like a plasticine man. After that, no matter how he climbed, he couldn't get up, and he was still cursing. Everyone in the hall was stunned. Liu Jianzi took 2 or 3 steps over and hit the skinny monkey in the face. In an instant, the skinny monkey's face was covered with blood. He had to cover his head and twist his body back and forth, begging for mercy. Lao Ding hurriedly went up and hugged him, and said that if he continued to hit him, someone would die. Liu Jianzi stopped. Linda was so scared that he covered his mouth with both hands, and his 2 blue eyes were so big that they seemed to be about to fall out. The skinny monkey lost 2 teeth, and was sent to the hospital that day. Fortunately, there was nothing wrong with his bones and brain. Liu Jianzi was fired the next day. The boss stayed away and asked the accountant to pay him the salary and travel expenses for that month. Before leaving, Liu Jianzi and Lao Ding hugged and said goodbye. He said that we were all brothers. If there was anything in the United States in the future, just look for him. He would also take care of him in Italy. They left each other phone numbers and WeChat. After that, Lao Ding didn't see Liu Jianzi much. But when he was free, the two chatted on WeChat and talked about their recent situation. After a while, I heard that Liu Jianzi went to a martial arts school to teach children kung fu. One day in early 2016, Lao Ding suddenly couldn't contact Liu Jianzi. He didn't reply to messages and didn't update his moments. Lao Ding wondered if he changed his number or went back to China, but he should say hello, after all, they were friends. Lao Ding was grateful to him from the bottom of his heart. After all, he lost his job because he stood up for him. Half a month later, Liu Jianzi suddenly contacted Lao Ding and said that he had something to do a while ago and didn't have time to reply to messages. He also said that he wanted to treat Lao Ding to a meal and get together after not seeing each other for a long time. They met at a northeastern dumpling restaurant in the Chinese district. Liu Jianzi ordered 2 plates of stir-fried vegetables, 2 servings of pork and leek dumplings, and asked the waiter to open 4 bottles of Tsingtao beer. Lao Ding saw that his expression was a little solemn, and his face was not very good. He was hesitating about how to ask, but Liu Jianzi spoke first. Actually, I was sick a while ago, and went to the hospital for examination and treatment. It was a bit troublesome. Lao Ding hurriedly asked, "What's wrong? Brother Liu, where are you uncomfortable?" Liu Jianzi refused to say what disease it was. "It's okay, it's going to come. Come on, we haven't seen each other for a long time, let's have one first." Lao Ding couldn't continue to ask, so he had to persuade him to go for active treatment as soon as possible. "If there is anything he needs help with, just ask." Liu Jianzi drank the wine in the glass in one gulp and said, "Thank you, brother, for your concern. Brother Liu has been through a lot of storms and you are fine. You won't die for the time being." After drinking 4 bottles of beer, he opened 4 more bottles. The last 2 people walked out of the dumpling restaurant with their arms around each other's shoulders and staggered. That was the last time Lao Ding saw Liu Jianzi. Shortly after the Chinese New Year in 2016, Lao Ding left Li Ji. He was fired by his boss. Li Ji's boss is from Fuzhou. He is in his 60s. He is bald, with a circle of white hair around him. He is fat, with a face full of flesh, and the flesh on his chin almost hangs down to his chest. When he was young, he went to Hong Kong and suffered a lot while working. Later, he went to Southeast Asia and smuggled to the United States in middle age. Once, several employees were having a work meal in the back kitchen. Fat Brother quietly reminded Lao Ding that this dish cannot be eaten. "Can you eat something else?" Lao Ding asked, "What's wrong?" Fat Brother whispered and said that he would tell him later. When Lao Ding and Fat Brother were the only 2 people in the hall, Fat Brother told him. The boss often gave expired and spoiled things to employees. Many people had diarrhea after eating them before. I knew it as soon as I tasted it. Lao Ding was a little surprised. "Damn, so perverted." Fat Brother said that he heard that when the boss first came to the United States, he also worked illegally in a Chinese restaurant and was abused by the boss in every way. After more than 10 years of hard work, he finally saved up some money and opened this store when he was almost 60 years old. Lao Ding said that he should be very good to his employees. Fat Brother shook his head and said that it was because he was often bullied in the past and was always looked down upon. His psychology was distorted, so he would inflict his own injuries on his employees. After hearing this, Lao Ding felt very uncomfortable. He used to think that the employee meals tasted good, but now he felt a little sick. After that, Lao Ding often secretly observed the boss, and sure enough, he soon found that some of the boss's behaviors were very abnormal. For example, the boss would often cook for himself and never eat employee meals with the employees. During the break, the waiter Linda would take out a thick book to read, and whenever the boss saw him reading, he would show a look of contempt, as if he looked down on poor students like Linda. Once, he even raised a middle finger behind Linda's back. Lao Ding saw this scene and told Linda quietly. The next day, Linda's boyfriend came to the door. He was a black man as strong as an ox, and his arms were thicker than Linda's legs. He threatened to teach the boss a lesson, and let him know what it means to respect women. The boss was frightened and hid in the office. He called his son to the store to explain and apologize to Linda. After that, Linda resigned. Soon the boss knew that it was Lao Ding who reported the secret and fired Lao Ding. Lao Ding did not make any excuses. He took his things and left. Before leaving, he secretly opened a bottle of wine and drank most of it. Postscript: when Lao Ding left, it was Pang Jie who saw him off. Pang Ji comforted Lao Ding and said, "I admire you very much. I don't have the courage to tell Linda. By the way, the boss cut his hand today. I told Linda about it. He said pretty good." Lao Ding also smiled, and the two hugged and said goodbye. Not long after, Lao Ding went to Los Angeles. Pang Ji said that because the restaurant was close to the casino, he had been holding back. He still drove the old Toyota to the casino every day and lost everything. This kind of life day after day. Lao Ding and Liu Jianzi have not been in contact for many years. In the summer of 2019, Lao Ding received a call from a former colleague, and a message came from the receiver that Liu Jianzi was dead. Lao Ding thought he had heard it wrong and confirmed it several times. The US police contacted this colleague through the address book in Liu Jianzi's mobile phone and said that his body was found by a lake in Las Vegas. It was already rotten, and no suicide note was found at the scene. Well, today's story ends here. Thank you for listening. If you have anything to tell us, please leave a message below the video to tell us.